What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So in this video, we are talking about the U.S. and Venezuela. There is a continued, I know I have not gotten back to this to update, but here in this video, this is what I'm trying to do. The issues between us and the Trump administration and Venezuela, the Maduro, the drug cartel, war that we are pitching in the Caribbean on the waters has only continued and gotten worse. I mean, we are upwards now of I think around 23 ships or so, boats that have been struck by drones from us. Upwards now, I'm seeing anywhere from 70 something fatalities to 89 fatalities in these strikes. And this has now caused a concern for Venezuela, and they have caused Maduro to declare basically a security issue for Venezuela, and has mobilized around 200,000 troops within Venezuela in fears of the United States doing some sort of invasion. So this has become a major concern, and I want to kind of talk over the details. And yeah, so thank you very much for joining me here. If you are new to ClearTalk, welcome. If you'd like to check out more videos from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Try to help get videos to more people. If you'd like to check out videos from my other channels, JMDPLAY, Puzzling, that would be amazing as well. If you like what you see, subscribe there too. That would be awesome. There's Patreon there if you want to support in any kind of way, $3 a month to support any of the channels you choose. Or just to help build Patreon itself, however you want to, to be a part of JMD Nation, even if it's a one-time donation there as well. Any way you wanted to support and become a part of JMD Nation is very much appreciated, and I thank you very, very much. If you are returning, you're freaking amazing. Thank you very much for coming back over and over and over again, because you are what makes up JMD Nation. So thank you. Now, so as we last talked about this, I think at that time it was roughly, I want to say somewhere around maybe 10 or 11. I think, if I'm not mistaken, at the time that I last talked about this, boats and stuff that had been struck. There were concerns over the legitimacy of the claims by the administration as to whether or not these boats were actually mobilizing any type of drugs or anything like that, or they were just fish boats. These boats were not even en route to any kind of mainland. Even the argument that they were heading towards mainland Mexico was there was no proof of that either. There's just been a lot of question and concerns about the actions being taken by the administration on these boats, these supposed drug boats, all in the name of national emergency, drug trafficking. The war on drugs, and sort of marrying that with the war on terrorism, as if this was all sort of drug terror attack on the nation, and that's what's being used for him to unilaterally just attack boats without the approval of Congress. And with no provided evidence. I mean, and as I presented before, if you wanted to prove what you were accusing, then you wouldn't be bombing these boats. You would be like taking custody of these boats. Getting forces around them, go on the boats, show evidence that, arrest the individuals, go through the whole due process channels to show and prove your accusations, give evidence so that they can be tried for those, whatever indictments you want to bring upon them, charges or whatnot. And be, through a legal process. This would be the most proper way to do this. The most legitimate way to do this, to prove and show, hey, we have proof. We're showing here that this is what's happening. But instead you're just bombing. You're just drones drop, blow up, and there's no evidence whatsoever of what you're bombing. And that is the reason why we've had such pushback within, our own people within the United States, along with pushback from Venezuela and other countries like Colombia, and then. But, if you think, well, who cares about what they think? Well, we've even had pushback from UK and other allies that typically give us intelligence information about the area, helps and aids in intelligence that was, gotten and provided within this area by certain countries. And even they have, suspended that assistance, that intelligence, because of fears that what this administration has been doing violates international law. The Trump administration is literally committing war crimes by blowing up these boats. So this has become a big thing, and it's something that we should really pay attention to, because the administration is pushing more and more and more towards literally a war against Venezuela. I mean, talking about potential boots on the ground kind of thing. And it in the name of what appears to me to be just actions of regime change, which is, they attempted back in the first administration, and now once again we are doing even more aggressive actions, like direct aggressive actions against Venezuela, and that's what it looks like to me. So we have article here. I have a few articles. This is from Macon Telegraph. The Trump administration has intensified its campaign against suspected drug trafficking vessels, executing 23 drones, manned aircraft operations since October 2025, and have resulted in at least 89 fatalities across the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. I mean, we've even bombed ships or boats in the Pacific Ocean, nowhere close to Venezuela. Like, it's crazy. The House Foreign Affairs Committee convened a closed-door briefing that day, where bipartisan membership pressed that for strike logs amid claims of war powers resolution evasion. A declassified Office of Legal Counsel analysis argues the missiles evade hostilities thresholds due to negligible risk to U.S. forces. The president has maintained that inherent executive powers authorize ongoing strikes on smuggling craft without parliamentary approval. The Justice Department's interpretive guidance exempts these efforts from war powers stipulations, but not deeming them active hostilities. Administration representatives argue that select targeted bombings transcend conventional warfare classifications, possibly sidestepping the law's 60-day disengagement requirement. The House Speaker Johnson, what the president and the administration is doing is protecting the homeland. This is one of his number one responsibilities. Congress will continue to have oversight. A high ranking official underscored zero U.S. troop loss, with most missions relying on remote platforms, drones. Congressional figures have requested specifics on selected criteria and flagged organizations. Commanders have verified over 60 deaths in 15 incidents spanning Caribbean and Pacific domains, which the president describes as permissible actions in a non-international conflict targeting cross-border crime syndicates. What a mouthful. The Secretary of War disseminates censored evaluation summaries through public statements. Senator Mark Warner says this is not the way the system is supposed to work. When you're putting troops in harm's way, I've got an aircraft carrier from Norfolk that's in the Caribbean right now. How do I answer to families of those sailors about whether this operation is even legal? We have here the top officials present Trump with military options for Venezuela in the coming days. Senior military officers on Wednesday present President Trump with update options for potential operations in Venezuela, including strikes on land, according to multiple sources familiar with the meetings in the White House. Secretary Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Dan Kane, and other senior officials briefed the president on military options for the upcoming days. No final decision has been made, however, two sources told CBS News. White House spokesperson did not immediately comment. The Pentagon spokesperson declined to comment. The U.S. intelligence community assisted in providing information for potential operations. The director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, did not attend White House discussions because she was overseas on a trip. Marco Rubio was in Canada. Earlier this week, the U.S. General Ford Carrier Strike Group entered U.S. Southern Command's area of responsibility. The Southern Command is a primary combative unit for operations in the Caribbean and South America. Over the last 2 months, the U.S. military has conducted strikes against at least 21 vessels it alleges were ferrying drugs from South America to the U.S. At least 80 alleged smugglers have been killed in the strike. 2 survived and were repatriated to their home countries of Ecuador and Colombia. The man released to Ecuador was freed because authorities found no evidence he had committed a crime. And then here, Venezuela launches massive mobilization to counter Trump's threats. Venezuela has ordered a massive mobilization of military forces after the U.S. military moved the world's largest warship and thousands of troops to the Caribbean Sea. Nicolas Maduro, the Venezuelan president, announced the show of force, Venezuela's sharpest rebuke yet of Donald Trump following the latest escalation in the Trump's crackdown on the drug trafficking. Venezuela's land, air, and sea forces are set to carry out military exercises on Wednesday, which would have been yesterday, to determine the imperialist threat posed by continued U.S. military strikes on alleged drug boats. A total of 200,000 Venezuelan troops have been mobilized, including regular military units and Bolivarian militia, a reservist force made up of civilians, according to Vladimir Lopez, the country's defense minister. He said that the goal of the exercise is to optimize command, control, and communications and ensure the defense of the country. They are murdering defenseless people, whether or not they are drug traffickers, executing them without due process. Even he states, regardless of whether or not you think they are drug traffickers, you are murdering them without due process. Exactly. On Wednesday, Pete Hegseth, the U.S. Defense Secretary, said, "We got lawyers on lawyers, all the authorities necessary to do so, treating these terrorists like the Al Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere." Bruh. Al Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. This is the type of just bullshit talk, fear mongering type of shit that comes out of the Republican Party all the time. Tensions escalated on Tuesday when the U.S. General R-4, the world's largest aircraft carrier, arrived in waters near Latin America. The presence of the warship's strike group, along with several destroyers equipped with Tomahawk missiles, that's distracting, could enable the U.S. military to attack targets in the country, including Venezuela's air defenses. The vessel's deployment was ordered nearly 3 weeks ago to help detect, monitor, and disrupt the activities of what the administration has branded narco-terrorists. Its presence will bolster U.S. capacity to detect, monitor, and disrupt illicit actors and activities that compromise the safety and prosperity of the United States homeland and our security in the Western Hemisphere. That's from Sean Parnell, the Pentagon spokesman. Caracas fears the development, which also includes F-35 stealth warplanes sent to Puerto Rico and 6 U.S. Navy ships in the Caribbean, as a thinly veiled attempt to topple the Maduro regime. The Venezuelan president, whose last 2 elections were dismissed as fraudulent by Washington and dozens of other countries, has accused the administration of fabricating a war. If we as a republic, as a people, go into an armed struggle in order to defend the sacred legacies of the liberators, we're ready to win. Last month, Mr. Trump said he had authorized the CIA to operate in Venezuela and had previously floated the possibility of strikes inside the country. However, administration officials have since said the U.S. is not currently planning such actions. U.S. forces have carried out strikes on about 20 vessels in international waters in the region since September, killing at least 76. So there's different numbers being floated from different outlets. Of course, it's based on time, when these released. Even day to day, these attacks are happening, so more bodies. The bombing raids have set alarms ringing among U.S. allies, including the UK, which has allegedly cut off intelligence sharing about drug trafficking in the Caribbean because it does not want to be complicit in the U.S. strikes. British officials are said to have paused intelligence briefings shortly after the strikes commenced, and concerns that provided the U.S. with information about targets which could be a breach of international law. Moscow, a key ally of Venezuela, has also denounced the strike as unacceptable. That's sort of like ridiculous of Moscow, right? As if they haven't done strikes that are unacceptable. This is how, in general, lawless countries act. Oh, that's transparent. As well as those who consider themselves above the law. Oh, again, there you go. Moscow stating, the obvious, speaking the quiet part out loud, about themselves and us. Gustavo Petro, the Colombian president, ordered the suspension of his country's intelligence sharing with Washington, writing on X that it will remain in force as long as the missile attacks on boats continue. The administration says the United States is engaged in armed conflict with Latin American drug cartels, which it describes as terrorist groups. Washington has not provided any evidence that the targeted vessels were used to smuggle drugs, while human rights experts have claimed the attacks amount to extrajudiciary killings. So yes, we have continued to blow up ships, boats, not really even ships, small boats that we claim are drug boats. Okay. Roughly 23 attacks. That was the big number. I'm going to say it probably is that. killing potentially upwards of 89 people so far. Again, my opinion of this is that we are, yes, we are committing international law crimes of war. There's no reason for us to just bomb these boats, even if we are claiming that it's, an international emergency, that these are drugs being. I mean, think of that. When this is known to be happening, either if these were drug boats, then these cartels must be the dumbest cartels, in my opinion, to exist. When you know that boats are being blown up, and the argument is that these boats are drug boats being blown up, yet you continue to try to transport drugs. You just must be stupid. Now, on the other hand, if these are actually fishing boats, and some would argue, well, if, why do people keep sending out fishing boats when boats are being blown up? They must be stupid fishermen too. I mean, but when the argument is that these are drug boats being targeted, and somebody in a fishing boat's going out to fish or whatever the case, something that's not drug related, and they're thinking, well, we should be fine because we don't have drugs on our boats, and then suddenly their boat's blown the fuck up. I mean, I don't know. There's this. It is a very strange situation here. But whether, even if, again, these are, even if you have evidence and that these are all drug boats, okay, I'm gonna give you that. I'll give you that for this argument. Still, why blow them up? Why blow them up? All you are doing is causing havoc and causing a fear and concern. It's an aggressive act that threatens not only Venezuela, but any Latin American country. Because now you have caused a situation where there could be, like, any kind of water-related industry, boat-related industry, is now under this sort of, fear and question and concern as to whether or not, if they embark across the water, which many have to do, that they are in fear of being blown up, that they are in fear of a missile being dropped on them and dying. So this is just causing unnecessary havoc all across Latin America, in the Caribbean, the Atlantic and Pacific side, because you're just willy-nilly blowing up boats. And again, not providing any evidence. I would have all the utmost respect if you were, taking over these boats, stopping them, boarding them, checking the inventory or whatever, showing evidence of drugs and whatnot, and that you confiscated it, you arrested the individuals, they're set to go to trial, and for whatever. Like, or sent back with the evidence to their countries, so for the countries to try that, however you want to the process you want to do. I would have more respect for that and be like, okay, that I get that. I understand that. That is a way that you protect us. But when you are just willy-nilly bombing boats, claiming that they are drug boats with no evidence, I have no respect for that. I cannot get behind that. That looks to me like you don't care. You're either exploiting what you think is the power that you hold, and with no repercussions of that power, or you are trying to cause some type of chaos or aggression that will in turn give you the excuse to do further aggression on a country who feels threatened by that and is taking actions on that threat, like Venezuela is doing right now. Because you're making the claim that, oh, we're doing this in the security of our citizens. This is the drug war. We are trying to take out drugs that are coming from this country. And oh look, and our actions are like, are good actions, understandable actions, moral actions, or whatever that you're trying to make the claim of. But oh look, Venezuela, they're getting upset. They're getting mad. They're deploying, or they're getting 200,000 servicemen, military personnel, and starting up these practices, training, expecting us to come, because they feel threatened. They must support this these drug actions that we are fighting against. So that we can't take that. They're supporting these actions that we are against, and the reason why we are bombing them. So they are an enemy. They're an enemy now of the United States, and we must take them over. We must squash our enemies. I mean, we have the rhetoric all the time from PK Seth and others in the administration of our peace through strength, that we are going to dominate, fight, win. We're going to dominate our enemies. This is concerning and something to keep constant watch on. Because it could, before you know it, we could wind up in a hot war with Venezuela. And troops, brothers and sisters, children, mothers, fathers, being put in harm's way because this administration doesn't like a government and wants to remove that government from power so that they can exploit that country, in my opinion, and control the goods and stuff coming from said country. It is ridiculous. Trump is committing war crimes. Trump and his administration are committing war crimes right off our own coast. that even our own allies have shown concern with and are backing away from giving intelligence because they don't want to be connected with it. Because they're like, ooh, fuck, that don't look good. We don't want nothing to do with this. And we as Americans should not want anything to do with this either. Let me know what you think. And until next time, peace. Clear Talk. I'm out.